I don't know, guys. I really don't know. I can't. I really can't right now. This is Ian Walker, back with another episode of the Stuff Podcast Show. I know it's been a long time. I've had a bit of a hiatus, a lot of life going on. Parents are moving to the East Coast, and they are going to be starting another chapter of their lives. So, I'm deciding to spend a lot of time with them and just be with them. I encourage everybody who has their parents with them. Don't take it for granted, please. You always have your parents with you. Sometimes you think you do, but you know, uh, sometimes things could change, and so you've got to really, take those times that you have with them and really enjoy them. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. Okay, so remember that. Now, my folks are from the East Coast, from down south, actually, from Alabama. Their family's been trying to get them to come home for a long time, and finally they're making the move. I'm not happy, but I am happy at the same time, if there is a such thing. I'm not happy because I'm very close to my parents. Of course, that's a process that's happened over years and years. Becoming a grown man now, that love and care for your parents, that changes over time. When you're teenagers, it's not always the most fluid relationship. Although I can't say that my relationship with my parents has ever been bad, because it never has been. But the closeness that I had, compared to when I was a kid, to teenage years to now, is a whole lot different. And it began mostly in my teenage years, but especially as an adult, and having to go through the same things that they've gone through, having those same experiences, having those same struggles that they've had, and some struggles they haven't had, and they've had to see me go through and watch me go through as their child, trying to strike that balance between let me go and grow because I'm a grown man, and then in comparison to what they need to take care of me because I'm their son or their child, which is that fine balance, it always has to be struck there. And so, and my parents have been there for me in more ways than they even know, imagine, and realize. Mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, all of that. And I'm going to miss them more than terribly. However, this is a chance for me, another chance for me to really strike forward and take their example, take their advice, take their guidance to make myself the better man, father, husband, son, worshiper of God that I want to be for myself. And so, with them gone, I'm trying to make sure that they leave with the comfort knowing that I'm going to be okay. They don't got to worry about that boy no more. And I know they're going to be okay. I don't worry about my parents. I don't worry about my folks, really. They, one thing about them, boy, they got each other's back. That is for sure. And so I don't worry about them. They're going to be well taken care of back in their home, because they're going back to their families, especially my mom's family. They're really going to be there, taking care of them, and then also the friends that they're going to make, new friends that they're going to make there in Alabama, also are going to be there for them as well. So, anyways, I just want to spiel about that. So, and kind of again another explanation as to why I haven't been on for a while. And during this hiatus, I thought about a new format that I was going to go about with the Stuff Podcast Show. I'm going to still talk about stuff and things that comes up. I will probably talk about things that come up in my life and things that maybe you guys can relate to, and you guys can give me feedback on that. But I do want to make it a little bit more lighthearted. I do want to talk more about entertainment, news, movies, all those things. Still keeping religion and politics out of it, because that's never going to change. I'm not going to make this a divisive podcast show. But but you know, keeping it more free flowing, and making it more upbeat. I also, too, I'm not going to be so strict on scheduling. I feel like sometimes when I go so strict on scheduling, I run out of things to talk about, so it's not as organic, and then it feels forced, and then it's like bad. And I don't want to give you guys terrible product, but at the same time, I do want to continue building the community with the stuff. So again, I really feel it's pivotal and very important that I get feedback from you guys as far as what you guys want to talk about, what you want to hear, what you want to speak on, so that those can be triggers for me to talk about something else that's going to be more of interest to you, and not sitting here always talking about myself. Okay, because I ain't cute. All right. So there that is. There's my quick a few minutes there on this week's on this episode this time. I wanted to get into some talks about the new trailer that I saw for. I'm sitting here grinning right now because it's just I'm thinking about it, and I'm still just like eh. But we're talking about the Venom trailer that was just released a couple of days. Let me see, was it a couple days ago, a week ago, something like that? And it's funny, I didn't even know the trailer came out until I listened to Jive Talk, which is a podcast I listen to by my good friend David Wilson. If you guys don't listen to that podcast, give it a listen. This dude knows his stuff. A very well respected comic book aficionado, just like myself. But he is the Marvel guy, I'm the DC guy. But he knows his stuff, and when he talks, he knows what he's talking about. It's very entertaining. Give him give that show a listen. Jive Talk on Anchor on iTunes. But I didn't know the trailer came out until he talked about it on the show. So I went, I had to do my due diligence, and I went and looked at it. I'll talk about that in a little bit. And then I want to again talk about Infinity War. Infinity War comes out tomorrow. I will be doing an episode of the Stuff podcast show about my review of Infinity War. I do not know how to do a podcast without spoilers. I'm just going to say it. Okay. So my thing is, I would not listen to that episode until after you see the movie. Okay. But yeah, I'm going to have an episode talking about that next week. But I'm also going to talk about it briefly on this episode about my expectations, what I would like to see, things that I've heard, and what I really want out of the movie. And about Marvel in general and what they've done over these last 10 years. Everybody's been talking about that. I think I should talk about that as well because it's viable. I think it is important to talk about everything that Marvel has done because they have definitely set a standard. So anyways, thanks guys for listening to the introduction. And let's get on with our next segment. Let's talk about some Venom, shall we? All right, so I took a look at the trailer of Venom, the new movie that's coming out this year. It will be out on, I believe the date was October 15th, 2018. And again, yeah, I don't know. Let me start back from the beginning. Sony, I have very huge beef with Sony ever since Spider-Man 3, the original Spider-Man 3. You know that I don't trust Sony. I'm gonna just say it. I don't trust Sony at all. Now, granted, they did good with the Amazing Spider-Man films, and they did good with the Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 with Andrew Garfield. Those movies were more accurate when it comes to Spider-Man. I really enjoyed Andrew Garfield as a character. I enjoyed Gwen Stacy. They picked a beautiful actress to be Gwen Stacy. They they did it right. They did. I'm not gonna say they did it right. They did okay. No, they did do it right. They did do it right. Let me just own it. They did it right. I believe. I really enjoyed it. They did good. Again, some of the villains were a little wonky. Electro was done a little wonky. Who else was done wonky? See, that's the thing. A lot of these villains in the new movies wasn't all that memorable. The Lizard was okay. I wouldn't say he was the greatest. I don't like how the Lizard looked like a Ninja Turtle with a big long tail. But that's a whole nother subject. He looked like a Ninja Turtle lizard. More like actually, not a Ninja Turtle lizard. He looked like a stinking salamander. That's what he looked like. He looked like a giant salamander. And I see what they were trying to do, and it's like, okay, I got my lizard, because I screamed about the lizard from the very beginning when the first Spider-Man set of Spider-Man movies came out with Tobey Maguire. Anyways, I'm going off on a tangent. I don't trust Sony. I don't trust Sony because of what they did with the first 3 Spider-Man films. The first Spider-Man film, in my opinion, was great. They did set a standard. The second film was okay. They did okay. Dr. Octopus was amazing. I think Dr. Octopus was the best thing about Spider-Man 2. But when you get into Spider-Man 3, the writing, the outright lack of care in the way of Sam Raimi, how he did that film. My man David, again, going back, my dude David, he talks about how that was the director's fault. And, he didn't want to do Spider-Man anymore, blah, blah, blah. I get that. I understand it, but it's not an excuse. You have a responsibility. And if that director was not going to live up to that responsibility and do what needed to be done, it was within Sony's right and should have been Sony's job to pull the plug on that project until they could bring in a director that cared and could have done it right. Spider-Man, the best thing about Spider-Man 3 was Sandman. And Sandman was a secondary character in that movie. Sandman was so good. I cared about him. I felt bad for him. His motivation was amazing. I did not at all care about Spider-Man. I hated how they did the symbiote story. I hated a lot about it. Now, they did the suit right. The suit was wonderful. I mean, looks-wise, it looked great. Until it got on Eddie Brock. They miscast him using Topher Grace as Eddie Brock. I know they probably wanted someone that rivaled or was a comparative age to Tobey Maguire. I guess that's what they were going for. But when you got the guy from that 70s show trying to be somebody evil and cry about losing his job, he's a grown man. You don't sit there and cry, at least not in front of people. Okay, when you lose your job, and then also when you're facing Spider-Man with your Venom suit on, you start crying because you took my girl and you took my job and no. And then to top it all off, Venom was supposed to be the villain that was the all-encompassing big bad. And instead, they gave me a black version of Animal from the Muppets, from the Muppet Show. I've always said it. I'm going to say it until I die. Venom from Spider-Man 3 looks like a stinking Muppet. And he was not awesome. He was not amazing. And it was one of the most disappointing movies ever. And from that point on, I did not trust Sony to do anything right. I just didn't. The fight between Sandman and Harry Osborn as the second Green Goblin, which was also very weak. It was very weak. It wasn't written right, in my opinion. The motivation was not very ironclad. You killed my daddy, without trying to find out the reasons. I thought you guys were best friends, like, for real. Oh, your dad likes you better than he likes me, so we're best friends, but I'm gonna hurt you. What? That's weak. I think you killed my dad, but I don't really have proof. He just said it, so I believe him. Um, weak, weak. There's just so much weakness. So I don't trust Sony because of Spider-Man 3. Now Sony is trying it again with Venom, and I have to say, and I'm going to admit some things. That one, the casting is interesting. Casting Tom Hardy as Eddie Brock is interesting. I think they casted him more on looks alone of the character, not so much for the character of Eddie Brock, though. I think they cast him more for the look of Venom, not so much for Eddie Brock. I do not believe that Tom Hardy fits that balance, and I believe that the actor that they choose for a role like Venom needs to strike that balance. He needs to be believable as Eddie Brock, and he needs to be believable as Venom. I honestly don't think they chose the right actor. Now, and this is just the beginning. This is just based on what I'm saying. I'm going to see the movie because I'm interested. I want to see how it goes. I may be wrong. Honestly, I really hope I'm wrong. I always hope I'm wrong because it's nice to be wrong sometimes. It's humbling. But I don't. When I saw the trailer, I didn't buy him as Eddie Brock, as a reporter. Maybe because I saw him as Mad Max grunting the entire movie. Maybe because I'm used to him letting me know that he's not the initiated, as Bane, maybe, I don't know what it is, but I feel like I don't buy Tom Hardy as Eddie Brock. I can see him, why he was cast as a Venom character, seeing, okay, that is a dude who can be Venom, but not Eddie Brock. And I think they could have chosen an actor that struck the balance between. Now, who that actor could be, I don't know. I don't know. But I don't believe that actor's Tom Hardy. Now, again, I could be wrong. The look of Venom, I admit, he is much bigger. He is much more intimidating. The special effects that are in there, I feel that a lot of the special effects that I've seen so far in the trailer, and again, this is the first trailer, so this is not. I was told that it wasn't done yet. I mean, it looks finished to me, but they said it wasn't finished, so okay. I'm gonna get to that in a second. A lot of special effects, though a lot of it looked cool, I think a lot of it still looks unnecessary or overreaching. They're trying so much to show us how much better this version is in the trailer that I fear that in the movie it's not going to be so much of that. I think this movie is going to fall into the trap of showing us everything in the trailer and not having enough in the film of itself. Like we will have seen everything in the trailer. That's what I fear is going to happen with Venom. Okay. And then the look of Venom, he's bigger. He does look scarier, I guess. But to me, he looks, instead of a Spider-Man 3, I still think he looks like a Muppet. I'm just gonna say it. I do. I just think he looks like a CGI Muppet. Much better looking, much cleaner. But I'm not scared. I saw Venom and I wasn't terrified. Now, I give Sony credit. They're trying. Oh, they are trying. Okay? They're trying. And I see what they're trying to do. There's a lot of people out there who complain about the look of Venom. Oh, well, in the comic books, Venom is not, so greasy and slimy, and, he looks all wet, Yeah, he does look like an oil slick off the coast of Madagascar. Yes. But I think for the sake of the movie, for the fact that it is an alien, I think they're taking some of their cues maybe from the Alien movies in their design of Venom and how he looks, and as far as texture and all of that, I get that. I don't have a problem with it. In fact, I think if you were to have a Spider-Man suit, regular, and then have that monstrous face, I think it would look a little ridiculous. You kind of have to have some kind of more alien look to him, and he does have to be That way it is more ferocious and much more scarier. But my thing is, in the trailer, I wasn't scared. When I saw the trailer, I wasn't like, oh my God, I am so, when I see Venom, I want to be terrified. You know, I wasn't terrified. I really wasn't. I was like, oh, that kind of looks cool. He looks like a Muppet. Like, wow, they polished that up. They cleaned that up really good. You know, but again, I wasn't terrified. I want to see a Venom film where I am stinking scared out of my mind. Number two, what is it with all these superhero movies now taking place in San Francisco when the original stories have nothing to do with San Francisco? Venom is a Spider-Man villain / anti-hero, and it took place in New York, and he is Spider-Man's worst enemy. What is he doing in San Francisco? I don't want to hear this crap about, oh, it's a one-off, this is the deal, oh, they're trying to base it off the comic books. No, that's not what it is. That's not what Venom is. Venom never started off in San Francisco. And that's where my thing is with writing. Don't take unnecessary liberties. You know, if you don't, and I understand if they don't, you know, this is a story that's not a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I get that. That's fine. Do a one-off. But you could still do a movie and tell a story and make the setting in the right place where it needs to be. You know, don't do that. You know, what other movie did that? X-Men did that. X-Men didn't ever go to the, you know, San Francisco. You know, what? You know, Angels from San Francisco. Your Archangels from San. No, he's not. Warren Worthington's not from San Francisco. Anyway, I'm going off again. That's not it. So, Venom, again, I just saw the trailer. I know it sounds like I'm hating hard on this movie. And Dave, man, I know you're listening, dog. Don't get mad at me. I'm just not excited about it. I'm not terrified. What would have got me excited about the film is if I was terrified. And I was not terrified. And Venom still to me looks like a well made up, much better done CGI Muppet to me. But I give Sony their credit. They are really trying hard. They are trying their butt off. And I really hope that this film, I'm going to go into this film with very low expectations. I don't expect anything out of this film. I really don't. In fact, I really expect this movie to not do too well, because the story that's being told and how it's being told already has a lot of red flags being raised for me. I'm not a Marvel aficionado. I know a lot about Marvel characters. I know enough about Spider-Man to know when something is wrong, or something is off, or something is incorrect. There's a lot already that I'm looking at that is incorrect about this film. And if this is a Venom origin story, they need to tell the Venom origin story from the comic books, and from the angle of Eddie Brock. And then to tell a Venom story without Spider-Man is also wrong, because that's not Venom. That's a Venom like dude. In fact, if they want to go there, if they want to do this movie should have been a Carnage film. If anything, if you're going to tell a one-off story without Spider-Man, this movie should have been a Carnage film. But you know, I think they're alluding to that with the fact that there's two symbiotes, you know, in the movie, in the trailer, if you guys seen it. There's two symbiotes there. So, you know, we'll see. I'm just going to say we'll see. We will have to see. So, give me your thoughts, your opinions, what you guys think. Do you guys think I'm out of my gourd? Do you guys think I'm being a hater about this Venom film? You think I'm being too harsh already without seeing the movie? I might be. But I'm just not, I don't have faith in Sony and what they've done in the past. The track record is not good at all. Let me know what you guys think. I'd love to hear from you. All right, and so let's go ahead and move on to our next segment. All right, folks, so tomorrow night is the night. Infinity War. It has been 10 years in the making. Every single movie that we have seen from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, good or bad, Iron Man 3, has been leading up to this point. I'm not gonna lie, I am super excited. It's funny when I first heard of Avengers Infinity Wars coming out and all that, I wasn't that hype about it at first. I mean, yeah, it's like, okay, an Avengers film's coming out, but after Age of Ultron, I wasn't too thrilled. I thought Age of Ultron was a weak Avengers film. A very fun, very entertaining Avengers film, but I thought it was very weak in comparison to the first Avengers film, which, looking back at it, story-wise, is also weak in comparison to the threats and the other movies that they've had, which I think would have warranted the Avengers much more so than it did in the first film. But again, that's a whole nother discussion. I wasn't hyped, but then I saw the trailer. What was it? 3 or 4 months ago, and when I saw that trailer, I was pumped. When I saw Captain America and his beard, Black Widow, I saw her again. She was blonde. That threw me off. So my boy David had to tell me what was up with that. And then I did my own research, and I was like, okay, that's cool. Black Panther. After seeing Black Panther, okay, Black Panther got me even more hyped about Infinity War because, now we know where the battle's going to take place. And what kind of characters are going to be there. I love Ant-Man. The Wasp is going to be in the movie too. Y'all probably going to slap me in the face. I've never seen Spider-Man Homecoming. I was told that I need to go check that out. I probably will. But from what I saw of him in Civil War, it was very pleased with Tom Holland's performance. Very pleased with how Spider-Man is portrayed now that he's in the back of the hands of the people who own him. And this movie is going to be incredible. And what I do like about this is that the directors of Infinity War really seem to have put their blood, sweat, and tears into these two films, parts 1 and 2. And this is a cinematic universe. And it's funny that I didn't really get that until now. We talk about cinematic universe in the sense of, and this is just for me, I always thought of it in the sense of, this is still the Marvel from the comic books, but it's just placed in a cinematic universe. If you go back to, from Iron Man 1, in all honesty, it really is its own cinematic universe. This is something completely separate from the comic books. They've created something from these movies, a brand new universe from these movies, and that was leading up to an event, which is now Infinity War. This is a story that we've all wanted to see be brought to fruition, and they've done it in their own way, in another version, in another with another process through this cinematic universe. So technically this is a whole nother Marvel universe in and of itself. Yes, I'm late to the party. Yes, I'm slow. And I guess that's just something I finally, it all clicked. Light bulbs going off, ding ding. And why everything is happening the way it is, with all the extra shows on the side. Agent Carter, which is great, which should come back on TV, by the way. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is boring, which needs to go off TV, by the way. Yes, I'm probably the only one that feels that way. But all of those things, all of these movies, Inhumans, which was terrible, poor guys. You got Thor: Dark World, which is the Thor movie nobody knew or cared about. Iron Man 3. All of those things were things that were slowly being added along with all the great movies, Guardians of the Galaxy, Black Panther, the first 2 Iron Man films, the Avengers, other Avengers films, Iron Man, Captain America films. All of those things were telling a story and creating their own universe, and Thor, all those movies leading up to what it is now. It's so awesome to see these movies, things that we talked about as kids, me and my friend David and I, and his brother Daniel, my friend Greg, we all talked about these things as kids. And to now, when we grow up, as we're grown men, seeing our childhood fantasies kind of made made to life in the way of these movies is just an awesome and incredible thing. And despite all the things that Marvel has done in the past or in the present, things that we may feel are, oh, that was stupid, or they shouldn't have done that, they have really set a bar as far as the superhero genre, movie genre is concerned. They have set a precedent that just cannot be beat, and set up formula that really needs to have some true recognition. They have done an amazing job, despite their ups and downs, the foibles, whatever they may be. Marvel has done what no one else has done, and I do thank them for that. I really appreciate what they've done in that way. And now Infinity War is the beginning of the culmination of all of their hard work, all of their trials and tribulation, their blood, sweat, and tears. And as fans, we get to enjoy that. So I'm really, really, really looking forward to this movie. I'm probably going to end up checking it out by myself, which is cool. I ain't tripping. I need to anyway, so I can just be stupid by myself. But as I said, the next episode will be a review of it, and I'm not going to do a review until I see it a second time. Every time I go see a movie, I like to see it once as a fanboy. I can scream, holler, kick, jump, whatever, and then I see it again a second time with the scrutinized eye, to really look at the movie to see what potential flaws there were, what things could have been done different, what things could have been done better, all of that. I did that with Black Panther. I saw the movie 3 times. That movie's, oh my goodness, I can't say enough about Black Panther. That movie is perfect in every way. That movie is perfect. I'm really hoping that Infinity War will be that next perfect film, and the way the directors talk about it, I think it will be. People go die in this film. I'm gonna throw out my bets right now as to who I think is gonna die. Okay, Gamora. She gonna die. I'm betting on Gamora because we haven't seen Star-Lord reach his full potential. We gonna see him get a reason why he goes ham. So Gamora's gonna die. The Vision's gonna die, because then we get to see Scarlet Witch go ham. You guys remember House of M? That girl went ham and destroyed the entire Marvel Universe. Okay? So my bets are on Gamora and the Vision. And yes, and this is a twofer. I'm going to say Captain America or Tony Stark. I'm going to say Captain America more so, because then this leaves room for either Bucky or Falcon to assume the mantle of the captain next. It's going to be a very hesitant role, and it's not going to happen right away. I think we'll see that if Captain America dies in Infinity War, that transition is not something we're going to see until the second phase, I think they're calling it, the next group of Marvel movies coming out, to where either one of them is going to take that mantle. You're going to see more of Iron Man taking the role as the leader of the Avengers after he dies in the name of his friend, because and also too, that's going to probably resolve the grudge that they have between each other that was made in Civil War, where Cap kind of jacked up when it came to Tony Stark and his parents. But that's going to seal that. That's going to close that chapter. So those are my 3. Okay, take the bets right now: Gamora, the Vision, and Captain America. Gamora's gonna die just because we want to see Star-Lord go ham. Vision's gonna die because he has the mind gem. Thanos is gonna rip that from his forehead straight up. That's just gonna happen. Okay, that's just it. Ain't no sorries. That's just gonna happen. And Captain America is going to die to assemble the Avengers, and we're finally gonna hear it here too. So that's my predictions. What are you guys' thoughts? What do you guys think is going to happen? How do you guys think it's going to happen? Are you guys excited for Infinity War as much as I am? I am. I hope you are. Anyways, so that is going to be today's show. I thank you guys so much for being patient with me. I thank you guys so much for taking the time to listen, to hear me rant and rave and criticize and holler and be a little frank. And I will see you guys next time on the stuff. Bye-bye.
The podcast you just heard was recorded with Anchor. If you want to make your own, download the Android or iOS app completely free from anchor.fm/podcast. That's anchor.fm/podcast.